All right, well, we want to get started here. I believe we're live streaming, so I want to welcome everyone that's live streaming with us right now as well. Let me bring something up here. There's people around the world you can see already live streaming with us all over the world, and we want to welcome people all over the United States. We even have Hawaii on here and everyone else. We always welcome everybody that's live streaming with us and visiting with us here this evening. Let's go ahead and bring up this first PowerPoint. We have Susanna Kokkonen. She is with Yad Vashem, and she's going to be coming here on Saturday morning, February 23rd. And she's originally from Finland. She's the director of the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem. She's the country director for Italy, Scandinavia, at the International Relations Divisions of Yad Vashem. She's responsible for their many activities, which includes getting people, to sign up to be friends and partners with Yad Vashem. She travels all over the world to speak about Israel, the Holocaust, and anti-Semitism. And let's see, she's been an official speaker of the Canadian Holocaust Education Week in both 2010 and 2011. She is fluent in 6 languages. And prior to Yad Vashem, she worked at the European Parliament in Brussels, at the Embassy of Finland in Tel Aviv. She received her PhD from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem in 2004 in Holocaust Studies. Her dissertation topic was Jewish refugees in post-war Italy, 1945 to 1951. And she has like 3 different topics that she might be touching on. One of them is on the road to the Holocaust, how it went from just hatred to murder. It begins with the whole process of dehumanization, preceded the genocide, starting from simple anti-Semitic attitudes and actions. Then the other topic she has is the righteous among the nations, moral choices under tyranny and death. She has here, under the Nazi regime, few courageous souls made the choice to take grave risk and change the course of history for one person or a group of people. Through personal stories of several different rescuers acting in varied circumstances in different countries, she tells us how the choice that was made, that they made, what motivated the rescuer, and who were the people they chose to help. And the stories clearly show that choice is always a possibility, even under tyranny and death. Then the third topic is on the Holocaust and Christian responsibility. She has here, traditional anti-Semitism is based on religious discrimination against Jews by Christians. Christian doctrine contained the idea that Jews are responsible for the death of Jesus, and it claimed that Christianity had replaced Judaism. An almost automatic reaction from Christians is that the perpetrators of the crimes were not really Christians. Well, how about all the silent bystanders who were, in many cases, were Christians? And how is it possible that the Christian world that believes in the Jewish God perpetrated or aided crimes against the chosen people? So these are some of the different topics she might be discussing on that Saturday. We really want everyone to try to be here. Then we have on Monday night, February 25th, our Purim party. Yay! Woohoo! Haman. Hey, Mordecai. Hey. Okay, then Monday night, March 11th, we have David Rubin. Many of you are familiar with David Rubin from the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, whose son was injured in a terrorist attack. He's been here several times. He'll be coming back here Monday night, March 11th, talking about his latest book on peace in the Middle East. So that'll be March 11th. Then, of course, March 24th, we'll be having our Passover Seder at the Tacoma Convention Center. And you're going to be able to, we're expecting about 1,500 people to our Passover Seder. And so we have tickets available if you want tickets in the back. Okay, now, the last thing that I want to discuss is our speaker. And let me just first say thank you to Rob Jacobs with Stand With Us Northwest. Let's go to the next PowerPoint. Give Rob a big hand. We thank him for everything that he does. And we are for Stand With Us Northwest, right? Our speaker is Chen Mazzig. And Art and I were able last night to go to a little meeting where he kind of introduced himself to some people in the house up on Lake Washington, I think it is, in that area. And I was pretty excited to hear what he had to say, and I am really excited for you guys. You are really going to have a treat this evening. I'll just share just a couple of things. You're 23 years old, right? And he's been in the IDF for 5 years, since he was 18. And you're fluent in Arabic, you said, right? And Hebrew and English. And I mean, he's a very skilled person here. He held a really interesting position in the IDF. He worked as an intermediary between the IDF and the Palestinian Authority, the UN, and many NGOs, or non-governmental organizations that work in the West Bank. And Chen has excellent first-hand understanding of the nuances of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as well as the peace process. His daily work, imagine this, his daily work was to make sure that the Palestinians were taken care of, that they had access to services, transportation. Effectively, he was responsible for taking care of the enemy. Now, how many governments do that? And he's going to be here for roughly 6 months. And for anyone that has the ability to do this, one of his goals is to go to high schools and colleges and speak about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict from a non-biased point of view. So at this time, I'd like Rob Jacobs to come up, who's going to formally introduce Chen. And you can come on up too. Let's give them a big hand. And I'm going to switch the computer over there.
Okay. Thank you. This is the third time that we've been invited to come speak here. Last year, our Shaliach, Ran Bar Yoshafat, spoke. How many of you heard him last year? And I don't know if you recall how meaningful it was for him at that point, but he had just spent an entire day in high school where he was paired up with a fellow from the Voices of Palestine who had spent the entire day calling him in front of all of the students a murderer and telling one lie after another about what was going on in the Mideast. He was burnt out. He was cynical. He was unhappy at the end of the day. He was tired. And he came here, and we thanked you then and we thank you now, because the energy and the spirit and the love for Israel that you had and that you showed him was amazing. And I remember as we walked out of here, he kept saying exactly that. It was amazing. It was amazing. And it happened at exactly the right time. So thank you. And we were here just a few months ago to talk about how you can help Israel and to talk about writing letters in response to stories in the newspapers. And as a result, we have 3 or 4 people that have become really engaged with our media response group, and so much so that I see the email traffic back and forth between the people in our media response committee. And you have a couple of people who have jumped right in there and are getting raves from the people who've been writing letters for the last 5 years. And it's wonderful to have the new blood and the new excitement and energy. If anybody is interested in responding to some of the misinformation in the newspapers that you see on the media, we would love to work with you. It is so great to have this relationship. And today, what we're doing is we're taking, you saw Ran Bar Yoshafat at the end of his time here in Seattle. He had been giving his talk to high schools and colleges for many months. What we have today with Chen Mazzig is the beginning of his time here. He's going to be here for another 5+ months, and he'll be speaking at as many high schools, as many churches, any forum where he can get an audience to be able to talk about Israel. Anything you can do to help us find locations for him to speak, please let us know. Either let us know directly. We're on www.StandWithUs Northwest or StandWithUs.com/Northwest. or you could get in touch with the pastors here who could help send them information to us. But we're trying to book Chen up so much so that he is exhausted at the end of his time here as Ron was. Chen comes from a very different perspective, and I think for the Pacific Northwest it's an important perspective, because so often we end up hearing again and again the stereotype of the Israeli soldier as the aggressive, imperialist soldier who is pushing down on the Palestinian people. And it's a wrong impression completely, but it's the popular impression, and it's what we fight against day in, day out in terms of public opinion. And Chen comes from a perspective of reaching out to the Palestinian people to try to help build relationships. And as he'll tell you, a big part of the strategy behind the work, it's humanitarian, it's because this is what we believe, it's because this is what Torah teaches us, but it's also because it's strategic. And I'm going to let Chen talk about the strategy behind bringing, the Palestinian people up economically. But I understand that this is his something like 6th or 7th time giving the talk since he got here. And it's a work in progress, but it's a tremendous work in progress. And hopefully we'll be able to bring him back later on, and you'll hear about his experiences here in the Northwest, as well as see his presentation today. So with that, Chen Mazzig.
Thank you so much for coming here tonight in this rain. I'm really excited to be here. It's amazing to see this big crowd coming all the way here to listen to me, so thank you for being here. I'm Chen Mazzig, as I was introduced. You did like half of my job, so. I'm 23 years old. I just got out of the army after 5 years of service, almost 5 years. I'm a lieutenant, reservist lieutenant. It sounds amazing, right? 23 years old, already a lieutenant, but I'm not the only one. There's a lot of lieutenants back home in my age. And I came here to speak for StandWithUs, to tell about my military service, about what I did in the army. I'll tell you briefly, I was a liaison officer for international organizations and diplomatic missions, working with the United Nations, with the Red Cross, with these kind of organizations, to help the Palestinian people that lives in the West Bank and in Gaza, helping them create their own society, helping them in all the civilian aspects, that all the difficulties, any problem that they have, to make sure that the Palestinians that are not involved in the conflict will not be affected by the conflict, or at least to minimize the effect of the conflict, because every war is a hell, as you all know, and we are trying our best to not affect those Palestinians that have nothing to do with the war itself. If you're thinking the terror organizations that are attacking us doesn't have any units like that in their armies. So I'll tell you a bit about myself, if we can play the presentation. So, I'm coming from Tel Aviv. I was born and raised in Israel. I have one older brother. He's 27 years old. His name is Ben. He's working for the aerospace industry. This is my mom. Both my mother and my father were born and raised in Israel. But my grandparents, you can see here a picture of me with my grandmother that passed away a few years ago. They were both born and raised in Arab countries. So my grandparents from my father's side was born and raised in Tunisia, right here. And in the early 50s, they were kicked out of Tunisia. They were forced out, not because they did anything against the government, but because they were Jewish. And my grandparents from my mother's side came from Iraq. A population of 150,000 Jewish people that were living in Iraq were forced out of Iraq, and only because they were Jewish. There's actually a really interesting story that my grandmother is telling us a lot about when, in the early 50s, when they were living in Iraq, they were living in Baghdad, and my great-grandfather was a really respected judge in Baghdad. And one day she's coming back home, and my grandmother coming with her husband, my grandfather, and they had a 2-year-old kid. Today is my uncle. And they're coming back home in Baghdad, and they had a big house back then, and they're going up to the second floor. Try to imagine it. She's going up the stairs with her husband and her kid. She's going to the window, and they had a big window that was looking towards the square in Baghdad, to find out that her dad was just executed by the Iraqis because he was a Zionist, because he believed that the Jewish people have the right to have their own country. So he was hanged in the main square in Baghdad. Try to imagine how it feels for 25, something like that. That was her age back in the time. 25 years old with her husband and her kid, looking at this vision out of her window. So she knew she had to flee. She had to run away, and she can't stay there. Her life was at risk, and all the Jewish people life that was living in Baghdad and in Iraq back in that time was at risk. So she had to flee, and they left. If you can go back to the presentation. So they went from Iraq all the way by foot up to the border with Jordan, and they arrived to Jordan, and just a second. They arrived to Jordan after a few days, and then they took a truck and drove all the way to Israel. It's a long distance to a young couple to do with a 2-year-old kid, and it was very difficult for them. Luckily for them, they had Israel to get to, but they were refugees. We need to bear it in mind. There's hundreds of thousands of Jewish refugees, not only coming from Europe after the World War II, but also from the Middle East. They were forced out of their countries, and a lot of time people tend to forget it. And when we are talking about refugees, people are usually thinking about the Palestinian refugees, but my great-parents were refugees as well. And luckily for them, they had Israel to welcome them, but they were refugees. Just to give you some sense, I'm sure you guys know it, but this is the presentation that I use in high schools. I just want to give the kids the students some sense about the size of Israel. You can fit Israel 5 times in the state of Washington. This is how small Israel is. And talking about the students that I'm talking to, I had some experience here. Actually, I'm here for 2 weeks, and I have some stories to share with you about my experience. One story is that. It was 2 weeks ago, actually, when I arrived. I'm getting an email about a new movie called 5 Broken Cameras. It's nominee to the best documentary movie by the Academy, to the Oscar Awards. And this is an Israeli-Palestinian movie that has been made jointly by the Israeli director and Palestinian director. Which basically it's showing as they describe it, the non-violent demonstrations against Israel in the West Bank. And there's a guy named Iyad Burnett. He's the brother of the Palestinian director. And I found out that he's coming to speak here in Seattle about the movie and about the non-violent demonstrations. This name was familiar to me, the name Iyad Burnett. I had to look it up online. And I found out that I actually know this guy. When I was 18 years old, I met him the first time. I was a young soldier in the Israeli Defense Force, in the IDF. And this guy shoved me to the ground in one of their nonviolent demonstrations. And yeah, it sounds strange, I know. And I said I have to go there. I have to go there to listen to him, and I have to, to find out how they call this demonstration nonviolent. Not worth to mention that in the same demonstration where I was shoved to the ground, another friend of mine, they're throwing rocks during these demonstrations, during this non-violent demonstration. Let's bear in mind it's non-violent, and they're throwing rocks, and it's not little stones, it's rocks. And a friend of mine broke his jaw because one of the stones hit his jaw, and again, non-violent demonstrations. So I had to go there. And I went there. This event was arranged by the Jewish Voice for Peace. At the beginning, I thought, what a great organization, the Jewish Voice for Peace, just like me. I'm a Jewish guy, and I want peace. Little did I know. I arrived to the place, and I saw a lot of signs of Palestine and Free Palestine and Stop the Zionist Occupation of Palestine by the Jewish Voice for Peace. And I'm sitting down, and I'm listening to the to the lecture that Iyad Burnett is giving, the brother of the director of 5 Broken Cameras, the anti-Israel movie. And it's just, you know, I can say that he had a biased opinion, but it was far, far from biased opinion. It was lies. It was lies because I was there. I know exactly how it's like, and I know exactly what... every country have its faults, and I'm not saying that Israel is perfect, because we're not, but it was just lies. He was saying that we are killing babies and that we are killing people, and that settlements have malls and pools, and you know, I've never been to a settlement that had malls and pools, and I've been around. So I was listening and sitting down, and it was hard. But the hardest part was when he showed videos of Israeli soldiers falling down and Israeli soldiers getting hit by stones, and the crowd there was cheering and was so happy to see Israeli soldiers falling and Israeli soldiers getting hurt. I was shocked, and you know, I sat there and looked around, and it's adults that are part of this Jewish Voice for Peace, and sitting there and cheering for Israeli soldiers falling down and Israeli soldiers getting hurt. But I sat down, and it was hard, but I knew that I had to stay calm and wait to the end, and then ask him the question that I came there to ask. And then he's opening the floor for question. One lady is asking something about how the Israelis are cutting all the olive trees in the West Bank, and again, I was shocked from this question. And he's answering her. He says, "Yeah, they're trying to do it. They're trying to cut all the olive trees. They don't care about the olive trees." And I waited, and no one else asked no other question. And then I raised my hand, and I stood up when he gave me the floor, and I asked him, "Iyad, do you remember me?" He's trying to look at me and trying to recognize my face, but he didn't, obviously. So I said, "You probably don't remember me, because when I was 18 years old, a young soldier in the Israeli Defense Force, you shot me to the ground in one of your nonviolent demonstrations." There was 50 people in the room, and they were all turning around to me. I was standing in the end, and I said, "How can you call this nonviolent demonstration when a good friend of mine broke his jaw, and when another fellow IDF soldier lost his eye in one of these demonstrations? How can you call this demonstration nonviolent?" And I had a photo of 5 Palestinians holding stones, again, big stones, and I put it out, and I said, "You see, this is from your demonstration. I really want to know how you call it nonviolent." I couldn't even finish my sentence when a 20-year-old guy stood up in the crowd and turned to me. And he said, "Someone needs to take this," he was cursing, "Zionist out of here. He said, "You know what, I'm glad that this what happened to your friend, and I hope that something would have happened to you too. You should be dead. Someone take him out of here. Seattle is weak because you're allowing him to speak." And I'm trying to calm him down. I'm telling him, "I came here to discuss. I'm not going to fight with anyone. I'm not going to get into a fight with you too." He didn't care. He kept on approaching me aggressively, and he was looking for a fight, I could tell. But I didn't want to get into a fight with him. So I step out of the room, and while I'm stepping out, I'm telling them, "Look, this is the nonviolent behavior. This is your nature. But we are not doing that, and I'm not going to get into a fight." And I stepped out of the room. There was another Israeli guy in the room, which was taking a video of all of everything. After this event, I found out that he took a video, and we wanted to use the video, actually. But he was about to step out, and when he wanted to step out, an older lady was telling him in Hebrew that she wants him to stay in the room because she's afraid and she wants to ask a question. So she asked the question after I left. She asked, "You know, I saw in your videos that the soldiers are really getting harmed by your people. How can you call it nonviolent?" And then the 20-year-old guy that was just screaming at me came towards her and wanted to attack her. But the Israeli guy stood between them, and he had a camera which is swung to protect the lady, and the camera was broken on the 20-year-old guys. And that's make for 6 broken cameras. And this time it was ours. But this just gave me the sense of how the situation is and how much hate there is out there against Israel. And this just gave me the strength to keep on going and really emphasize for me how important my job here is. So if we'll go back to the presentation. Thank you. We have a map of Israel from 1702, and this is the places where Jewish people were living. You can't really see it, but here it says Judea from 1702. So this is for all the people that are saying, wow, there was never Israelis living or Jewish people living in Israel. There was. This is from 1702 as well. This is the Jewish Brigade of Israel. And I'm talking a bit about the British Mandate between 1920 to 1947. This thing, I'm sure it's not new for all of you, but you'd be surprised to know how many people don't know anything about Israel. It's getting to a point when I'm asking them, and I'm showing them a map, and I'm asking, can you tell me where Israel is on the map? And people are pointing somewhere in South America or in Africa. They don't really know. So I'm talking a bit about the British Mandate, about the UN petition, the plan of dividing Israel, how Israel got the blue part, which is mostly deserts, and the Palestinians, the Arab people that were living there, they were offered to get all the orange area, and they said no. We said yes, we wanted peace, and in return we were attacked by the Arab countries that were surrounding us. So Israel, a new country just established, got attacked from Egypt, from Jordan, from Syria, from Lebanon, from Iraq, from Iran, from all those countries. And with the luck, people would say luck, I think it's something more than luck that needed. Yeah. So Israel has prevailed. Israel won this war, and we managed to force our enemies out of our land. And this was basically the new Israel, the armistice lines after this war. But again, try to imagine a new country, just established, people coming from World War II, coming from Arab countries where they were executed and murdered, and they need to face 5 different armies and people that are living inside Israel that are attacking them as well. And with all this, still win and still have their own country after that. That's amazing. And then we had the 6-Day War. You probably know about it as well, in which Israel has tripled its size. So if we started with a small, narrow Israel, we got the Sinai, which is a big area full of oil and natural resources, which was great after this war. Again, it was a war that Egypt initiated against Israel. And when someone is attacking Israel in the Middle East, all the other Arab countries are joining them. So it was a war that started with Egypt, and then Jordan joined, and Syria and Lebanon, and everyone attacked Israel. And from 67 to the 80s, Israel controlled the Sinai Island. Israeli people were living there in all this area, and we had nature resources, and we had oil from here. And the Egyptians were really unpleased, and they wanted back the Sinai Island. And then Israel, in another step to get peace and the hope for peace, gave up the Sinai Island. You have here Sadat and Menachem Begin and President Carter, sorry, standing together. It's really, it's an historical picture. But between the 1980 to 1982, Israel gave back parts of Sinai Island, forced people out of their houses in Sinai that they were living in from 67, just to get peace. So this is basically how Israel, this is the history of Israel that I'm showing again to the students. You guys, I'm sure you know it. And from 2001, this was the view in Israel, the Intifada. From 91 to 93. And in 93, Israel, guess what, gave up more land to get peace. And in the Oslo Accords, Israel, as you see all the green parts, this was given to the Palestinians. We call them Area A. The West Bank was divided to Area A, B, and C. And Jewish people that were living in Area A again, was forced out of their house, and they couldn't live in Area A, the green parts, anymore in the West Bank, and they had to move to the other area, the white area in Judea and Samaria. Judea and Samaria or the West Bank, it depends on how do you want to call it. So again, it was a hard and tough decision, but Israel has done it in the hope for peace. Do you know this? Like, you guys probably know, but I'm asking in this point, what do you think this picture is? People are saying it's a bus accident, it's something, there was probably an accident and this bus was involved. But no, this is a picture of a bus that just got exploded by a suicide bomber. And this was, it was a regular vision in Israel between 2001 to, actually till 2 months ago, we had a bus that was exploded in Tel Aviv as well. And I remember myself when I was 12 years old, a few years ago, my mom sent me to a shop near, like it was 2 streets away from our house. And she told me, go get yourself ice cream. And I walked, and I remember hearing a huge bomb. I was 12 years old, and I was really curious. I had to go there. And I went to, it was actually the shop that I was about to get into. And it was just exploded, and I saw smoke and fire going on. And I remember looking down on the floor, and this is a vision that I would always remember. A pink sock, a small sock on the floor, probably belongs to a baby that was covered with blood. And in this suicide bomber attack, there was 3 Israelis killed and 1 baby. It's not killed, it's murdered. We have to call it as it is. And that's hard, but this is what a 12-year-old kid need to deal with in Israel. We have some other pictures from. This was very regular. This was very often in Israel. I could actually, when I was looking for pictures, I saw much more. But these are buses, and this is a Sbar restaurant, and this is another bus, and people were. There was suicide bombers anywhere in Israel, and it was very tough for the Israelis to live through this. And again, in another step for peace, guess what Israel has done? We have gave up more land. We gave up more land because we want peace. The Israeli people want peace, although you'll hear other things in the media, but going through this hell, we want just one thing. We want peace with our neighbors, and we'll do anything for it. So in 2006, Israel has decided to pull out from the Gaza Strip. This is the Gaza Strip right here where we control, and there were Israelis, Jewish people living in the Gaza Strips. In the Gaza Strip, all the red areas are Jewish cities. People would call it settlement, but it's not settlement, it's cities. People were living there and functioning day to day, living side by side with the Arab people in the Gaza Strip. And in 2006, Israel has decided to pull out from the Gaza Strip, again, in order to have peace with our neighbors, in order to stop the terror attacks on Israel. So all those people were forced out of their houses. And a friend of mine has told me a story. You can see some pictures from the pull-out of the Gaza Strip. A friend of mine was a policeman during the Gaza pull-out, and he told me that one day that they had to evacuate the Jewish people from their houses, and it was really hard for them to do it. And they got into a house, and there was a 72-year-old old lady in the house, and they told her that they need to take her out of their house. And she pulled out her sleeve and she showed them her wrist, and there was a number tattooed to her wrist. And she said, the last time that people took me out of my house, it was to kill me, and I can't believe that an Israeli police officer is doing it to me again this time. She was a Holocaust survivor. So you just try to realize, to visualize it. Israeli policemen, Israeli soldiers going to the houses of Jewish people and taking them out of their houses and telling them, we are doing it for peace. We are doing it because we will get peace after that. And in return, we just blocked the Gaza Strip, and the Gaza Strip was blocked for Israelis. And guess what the Palestinians has done in Gaza? They voted for the Hamas. Hamas, a terror organization that is controlling the Gaza Strip from 2006. As soon as Israel pulled out from the Gaza Strip, they elected the Hamas to lead them. The Hamas, a lot of people think that I'm biased because I'm coming from Israel, and I do have my own opinions, but go online and try to read what the Hamas is saying. What is their charter? Their charter is to kill all the Jewish people, kill all the people that don't believe in Muhammad the Prophet. They're saying, basically, if you read it, it's amazing. We'll kill all the Jewish people in the world until there won't be any Jewish people on earth. The Jews will hide behind trees and behind stones until the stones and the trees would cry and tell us where they are. It's kind of ridiculous, but this is what they believe in, and this is the way of their acting. So after we pulled out from the Gaza Strip and we closed the borders between the Gaza Strip and Israel, and when I say close the borders, a lot of people think there is a blockade, but there's no blockade. People can get in and out from the Gaza Strip. Even until today, I was in the Gaza Strip a few months ago, and I saw in the checkpoint between Gaza to Israel, trucks going in and out. There's trucks with jacuzzis and trucks with plasma getting into Gaza for the Palestinians. So when people talking about blockade, it's not very precise. So because we closed the Gaza Strip, there's no more suicide bombers coming from the Gaza Strip to Israel, but the Palestinians that are working for Hamas has thought of a new way to attack Israel. And this is what we got. We got rockets. I want to show you this video that really tells you the story of how it is to live under rockets. Actually 1.3 million, because rockets got to Tel Aviv as well. And we're talking about 13,000 rockets falling on Israel from Gaza. And people are talking about proportions in the Israeli response. And I want to ask you guys, how many rockets would it take until the United States will respond from, let's say, from Vancouver Island, if rockets would have fallen on the United States? Do you think after 5 rockets there would still be a Vancouver Island? And you know what? And people are actually talking about proportion. It took us 13,000 rockets to respond. 8,000, you know what? Even if it took us 100 rockets, we have not retaliated because we don't get into war. We don't war to war. War is hell and war is tough. And just to give you some examples, you can see the pictures from, this is rockets shot from Gaza, and the Hamas is targeting Israeli civilians. They're not shooting toward specific target, they just shoot it and hope it will hit civilians. They actually have said in their media that a lot of times they are following the Israeli media to know where the rocket has fallen, and they have maps of Israel, and then they can know how to move next time that they're shooting to hurt an hospital, to shoot towards an hospital or to shoot towards school. And we actually have maps as well of Gaza, but our maps is marking the school as a prevented site. We can't shoot at schools and we can't shoot at hospitals. And we will, and you know, the people that are going on to the airstrikes are usually, I've heard the commander of the Air Force saying that he's choosing pilots that have families, so they would not pull the trigger that quickly. And that they will restrain themselves. And this is the difference between Gaza, the Hamas, and between Israel, because Israel is trying its best not to hurt civilians. Just to give you the Hamas rocket range, so from the Gaza Strip, it's actually got to Tel Aviv. I was in the last operation in Pillar of Defense. I was in Israel. I was in Tel Aviv in my city, and I remember hearing the alarm going up and down every day, and it's really hard, and it's hard to live in this reality, but it's not strange. It's not strange to us Israelis to live in this reality. And you know, we're asking, what do you do? What would London do? What would Paris do? What would New York do if rockets would have fall every day, every 15 minutes in average? So this is Israel today. As you can see, we pulled out from Gaza. We still control the West Bank, and this is the borders. And this is Israel. This is Israel that people don't see. You know, after I'm giving this long speech about how awful it is to live under the threat, we're still doing great. We have developed in the not more than 70 years that Israel exists, we have developed an amazing country, amazing views. And this is my hometown, Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv was chosen to be the most developed city, one of the 3 most developed cities in the world. So I'm saying, you know, comparing to the Middle East, we don't have much competition. And I'll tell you a bit about my unit, the COGAT unit. I serve in this unit, the coordinator of government activities in the territories for 5 years, as I said. I was a liaison officer for international organizations and diplomatic missions. My job was basically to intermediate between them to the Palestinians. A lot of time they didn't speak the Arabic language, so I was trained to speak Arabic so I can speak to the Palestinians and you know, look for the places that we are really needed and help them in. The pastor asked which other country would do something like that. I don't think there's much other countries that are doing the same. Actually, the United States have the same unit, just like us. But while my unit have hundreds and hundreds of officers and soldiers, the American COGAT unit have 5 officers that are responsible for the welfare of the other people. So it's important, but I think that Israel is one of the only countries that is actually helping the other side and making sure that the other side would be safe. I have some. So I served in Hebron right here. Before that, I served in Jerusalem and in Ramallah. The same position in different locations. And these are some pictures from a military service. Actually, this is the head of the Red Cross in the area that I was responsible in Jerusalem. And I have an interesting story to tell you about my relationship with her. It happened one night. It was midnight when I'm getting a phone call from her. I had to be available 24 hours for any issue that will come up and with the Palestinians or any emergency that we have to attend. And I'm getting a phone call from her. She had a very heavy French accent. I couldn't understand what she was saying. I asked her to come down and tell me again. And she's saying that there's a 6-year-old kid named Amero just arrived to their offices in Gaza, to the Red Cross office in Gaza. And he's telling them this awful story that his mom was just passed away, and his stepdad, his adopting dad, is not willing to have him at the house anymore. His dad is related to the Hamas, and he kicked him out of the house. And this 6-year-old kid, Palestinian kid, was wandering around in the city of Gaza. And while it's horrible for a kid 6 years old to wander around the streets in the middle of the night, think how awful it is to go around the streets of when the Hamas is controlling the street, and the Hamas is basically taking kids and use them as human shield. Whenever they're shooting rockets, they're taking a kid with them because they know that the Israelis would never shoot a kid, and they just take the kids and stand with them like that, so the Israelis won't shoot. So I got goosebumps immediately, and I knew that we have to act to make sure that this kid won't stay in the streets for the rest of the night. So I asked her if he has any relatives, and apparently he said that he has relatives in Ramallah. So we located his relatives in Ramallah, and we called them, and we called his uncle actually, and his uncle said that he's willing to accept him and to have him to adopt him. And I called, we have a welfare officer, imagine a welfare officer in the IDF that is responsible for the welfare of the Palestinian people as well, and he's basically guiding me through the process of adopting, sending me all the documents. I'm sending the documents to the father, to the uncle, sorry, and the uncle signing everything. And it was about 2 a.m. that this kid, the 6-year-old kid, Amero, was on the Red Cross car going all the way to the Gaza checkpoint. And this checkpoint is not open in the middle of the night. It's a security checkpoint that is there to, just like there's checkpoint between the US to Mexico, or there's checkpoints all over the world, and there's a checkpoint there as well. And this checkpoint is not open in the middle of the night. So we had to drag 10 soldiers to open this checkpoint, just to allow this 6-year-old kid to go through from Gaza to Ramallah, and another checkpoint in Ramallah to open it again, and allowing him to cross. And he got to the house of his uncle, actually by 3:30. And I checked up on him after 2 weeks, and he says that he loves Ramallah, that he have new friends there. And the best thing about Ramallah is that the internet is much faster than the internet in Gaza. I was proud to be part of this operation. I was proud to be part of this amazing, anywhere else in the world, it will take ages to have an adopting procedure. And anywhere else, to open a checkpoint in the middle of the night for a kid that is, part of our enemies, but it's not. And this is what the Israelis understand. And this was the soldiers that were dragged in the middle of the night out of their bed. They knew it. And we virtue the life, and we virtue the value of life. This is the Jewish people. This is our tradition, and this is how we were raised. And there's another story that I'm sharing, actually. This is more pictures of me from my military service. A lot of times they didn't speak the language, and I had to help them out with the Palestinians. And another story that I'm sharing happened when I served in Hebron. Hebron is an amazing city. You should go there. The cave of the patriarchs is there. This is where we believe all our ancestors, the world's ancestors, were buried from the time of Adam and Eve to Abraham. And so I was serving there in the same position to liaise between the international community, to the Palestinians, to the Israeli Defense Force. And one day I'm getting a phone call from another representative of international organization, of the United Nations this time. And he's telling me about this awful case of 2 Palestinian kids that were wandering around the desert of Hebron, and they picked up an unexploded device. And we don't know who left this device there. It was an area that IDF jeeps were going back and forth all the time, so probably it was left for one of the jeeps to explode on. But those Palestinian kids picked it up, and it exploded in their hands. One was 13 years old, and the other one was 14. And he's asking me to help him out. So I said, okay, we need to send a Palestinian Red Cross there, a Palestinian Red Crescent there. And he said that the Palestinian ambulance can't get there on time. And so I called immediately the IDF medics, and they said that they were really nearby, so they just drove directly to this place. And it was 3 IDFs, Israeli Defense Force soldiers that were also medics, attending these 2 Palestinian kids and giving them first aid as much as they can. They picked them up, put them in the army ambulance, and took them to a military base, actually my military base. And there was a doctor, an IDF doctor, so again, an officer with uniforms and everything, but he's also a doctor, so he attended the 2 Palestinian kids and gave them as much as help as he could. And then an Israeli helicopter, came all the way from Israel to Hebron, from southern Israel to Hebron, and picked up the 2 Palestinian kids and took them to an Israeli hospital where they were attended and they got attended by the doctor. By this time, I contacted the family, the Palestinian family in Hebron, and I told them about it. Apparently they knew about what happened to the kids, and they really wanted to be with their kids. And we issued them visa. We have, if just like I needed a visa to get here, but when I asked for my visa, it took me 2 months. For these 2 Palestinians, it took 2 hours. I got them their visa, and I went all the way to their houses and gave it to them. And they got into Israel, and they were reunited with their kids. And both of the kids are well today. One of them lost his 2 fingers, unfortunately, but the other one is perfectly fine. And again, this just shows you how committed everyone to human life, how committed everyone in Israel for human life. When it comes to life, we don't do any separation between between race or between religion or between anything like that. We just help as much as we can, and I think this is our biggest strength. Another thing that I want to Thank you. And yesterday was the Holocaust Memorial Day, and this is just to give you an example of what we need to deal with, because a lot of people don't understand and don't know about what I just told you about my unit. Or I think I don't blame these people, because I think they just don't understand, and they're just not educated enough to know. But I do blame a lot of people that are doing things like that. This is how the Sunday Times in London, one of the most respected journals in London, has decided to memorialize the Holocaust Day with this cartoon. This is Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and they decided to choose this photo of him using bricks and blood on the heads of Palestinian people. And I don't know how to respond to it. Every day, this picture would be horrible to see. Every day. But choosing to publish it on the Holocaust Memorial Day, how unrespected it is. Not for Jewish people, but for human life. And this is what we need to deal with. And I'm always saying that to hate, people are getting more passionate, and it's much more passionate to hate something, and to hate an object, or to hate a country, or to hate a race, or to hate religion. And I think that hating Israel is more than anti-Semitism, and people are getting really enthusiastic to hate Israel and to do those things. There's so much hate going on. It's going through the path of colleges. You'll see now in colleges there's new groups against Israel. There's like 5 different groups, and all those groups are against Israel in a different way. There's one that is pro-Palestine, one that is anti-Israel, one is anti-Israel colonialism, as they call it. And then you have the other path that they're going through. They're going through the media. They have people in the media working for this kind of journals, working to give misinformation to the New York Times or to the BBC or this kind of media sources. And then you have people going through the economic way, the BDS movement, the boycott and the divestments and sanctions against Israel. It's a movement that their sole purpose is to make sure that the Israeli economy will fall down. And they're doing that, and they're going through boycotting Israel in shops and in stores, and boycott Israel products from the U.S. And and it's starting to pop up everywhere, and it's starting to pop up in Europe, in London, in Paris. You'll see those things in Israel, in the United States, and it's everywhere. But we don't feel it because they are so smart about it, and they're going around. It's like a snake that you can't feel it, but they're starting to control and gain more power. And what they're doing is basically they're changing the thoughts of people about Israel, and it's hard for us. And this is why I'm here, and this is why I'm sharing my story, to tell people a different aspect about Israel, an aspect that they will never be exposed to. We do share this information. My unit shares the information with the media, but the media don't want to use it. And you know what? I have faith in people, and I think that we have went through so much hard times and so many wars, which we won, thank God. But this is what we want. We want peace, and it says shalom and salam, and we want to have peace with our neighbors. And going through these wars, we did one. We had. I'm thinking that there was some help. We got some help from some source. Who can tell? But thank God we're still alive, and thank God that we still have a democracy in the Middle East. And I think that having peace is our main goal, and people don't know it. And my mom was always raising me up and saying that one day she wished that I won't join the army, because we won't need an army. But until this day will come, we still need the army, and we're hoping for the peace. And this is my message. Our message is that Israel wants peace. And I thank you so much for coming here, and I'm opening the floor for your question. Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to open it up for questions. And so if you have a question, raise your hand, and then I'll bring the mic over to you so everyone can hear the question. But first, let me ask this. How many people here have been to Israel? How many have been to Hebron? All right. Awesome. Okay, who has the first question that they'd like to ask? All right, Martin.
Really appreciate your tremendous role in what you're trying to achieve, and realize you do have a lot of folks behind you worldwide because God put us here. I'd like to know really how much can the Israeli people take? How much can the Jewish people take as far as how far we will go with peace at all cost? There has to be a cost. You've paid the cost. How much further, how much more land can we give up? Can you give up? When I say we, I stand with you. Mm-hmm. How much more can you take? Mm-hmm. God will intervene, but how much more can the people take?
That's a great question. That's a question that I'm asking myself every day. You saw the pictures, you saw the maps, and you guys know better you saw how much land we gave, and they keep on asking us to give up more land and more land. But this land was it was given to us in the Bible, and God was faithful. And I believe that God was faithful back then, and He's still faithful, and He will be true to His promise to give us the Israel land. And I hope that we won't need to give any more of our promised land.
That's right. That's right.
Can you see a difference when you help people? When you go help the little kids that have their hands blown up? Do you see a difference in their society, the way they treat you, or do they just keep treating you as if you were weaker?
Thank you for this question. It's great. It's a great point. The Israeli Defense Forces, we have this unit to help the Palestinians, but we think that if we'll help them have their own society, maybe one day they'll have something to lose, and they won't go and explode themselves in a bus. Because when a person is have a car and have his own work and have his own life, he's not very enthusiastic on going out and blow himself or to kill Israelis like that. He has something to lose, and this is our biggest hope, that one day I think everyone is saying that one day they'll be able to function as a society, but they can. They're given, in the West Bank, in Ramallah, they're given parking tickets. They have their own Starbucks. It's not Starbucks, it's Star and Bucks. But you know, they are developing, and we are helping them develop, so they'll have their own society, and just they need to progress, and they need to keep on going and staying in. They're looking at Israel, and I'm sure that they're seeing how we have progressed, and we're hoping that one day they will get to the point that they'll be progressed as Israel is. Please, ma'am.
Just thank you for your message, your willingness and courage to say what you need to say and what God put on your heart. And I just want to say I'm grateful to the Lord for protecting you, and I know He'll continue to cover you, be your banner.
Thank you.
The flashpoint for Jerusalem, I guess, is the Temple Mount.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we all know the history. But I read something in the newspaper in December that they actually found another temple in eastern Jerusalem. It's underground, an altar. And do you know anything about that? And is that going to become another battleground for Palestinians and Israel?
Thank you for the question. I think it's amazing how, you know, I know some settlers in Hebron, and they're telling me a lot of times when you're going around Hebron, for instance, you need to take off your shoes, and also when you're going in Jerusalem, you need to take off your shoes because you're walking on holiness. And everywhere that you'll dig in Israel, you'll find piece of history from the time of the Bible or pieces from the temple, and so I think that there will always be a conflict when it gets to something that is holy for the Jewish people. You know, the Temple Mount is not the most important thing for Muslims. The Mecca is more sacred to them, but they made the Temple Mount more sacred than Mecca. You ask yourself why? I'm not going to give the answer. I think it's out there. Whenever something is holy for the Jewish people, there's a question. Just like in Hebron, we have the Cave of Patriarchs. Why is it so important for the Muslims? It's not Mecca. It's not where Muhammad was. But still, it's really holy for them, and they want it. So we do respect that, and ever since Israel was created, it was the first time that all three religions were able to get into Jerusalem freely. Never it was that all three religions, that Christians and Muslims and Jewish people, were able to access Jerusalem. Just from 47, just when Israel was established. So I think what is also important for us is to allow all people to worship whatever they believe in, and this is the message of Israel. And I think that even if something like that would be discovered, this would be important, that everyone would be able to go there. I'm not sure if it was the same situation if other countries would have controlled the area. Yes.
The best part about being here tonight is being able to say to you corporately, you are welcome here. Yeah. When you are dealing with the Palestinians that don't want war, that are caught up in this, what do they say?
It's a great point, because the ones that don't want war, they're really sick of it. But then when they're going to vote for the people, for their government, if you take the Hamas in Gaza in 2006, just recently, a few years ago, the Palestinian people chose them in a democratic way. They went to vote, and they vote for the Hamas. The Hamas was the majority. So you ask yourself, how come those people, they don't see that the Hamas is a terror organization that is gonna ruin Gaza? Look at Gaza. Gaza has an amazing beach, an amazing port, and they could be, the next tourist country in the Middle East. But they chose the Hamas, and they want to go to war, and they want to get all of Israel. So a lot of times I get from these people that they don't want war, but they're not willing to settle in the same breath. So they're not willing to accept Israel as the state of the Jewish people. And this is from the majority of the people that I'm talking to, that they're not willing to have Jewish people living in the land of Israel freely, while we are helping them.
A question that someone was hoping that would be asked, and I'll just ask it for them. How was it having women in combat? What's that like? And do they have frontline duty, or are they only in the back lines? I mean, here in America, they're now thinking about putting women on the front lines, right. And they were just wondering what it was like for the women.
So the women in the IDF are actually serving in combat units, and they are in the front line. Unfortunately, we don't have enough people to protect all our front line. If we have enough, so it will be just men serving in the army. But we have also women serving in the army. They have to sign to have 3 years instead of 2 years of service. The service in Israel is mandatory for both male and female. And the women that are going to the front lines, they are tough. They are really tough. And you know, they're living just like any other soldier. We don't distinguish between them. They have their own rooms and they have their own areas. But they fight like the men are fighting. So that's amazing to see that. And you know, I think there's a good if the American army would like to learn some of it, they should look at how it's done in Israel, because it's done really well. Oh, thanks.
It took everything in me to bravely not cry when you showed that video, because I can imagine living in a world like that, and it just makes me emotional. So I can't even imagine being there. But as I watched it, and there was that close-up picture of the child crying, and my flesh just wanted to cry, but my spirit rose up in faith, and I saw angels everywhere. And I know that justice is going to prevail, and that the love of Hashem protects those children night and day. And to see the IDF manifesting that love on a daily basis, that inspires me. And I think it inspires a lot of people. So when I cry right now, it's tears of joy. Because I know that unlike here, the military is not just some emotionless unit to crush nations. It's tikkun olam, it's to repair the world, it's to protect and to restore. And that is so like the nature of our God. So thank you for that. I would just want to read you this scripture that, I don't know, I just opened it and there it was. It says, "Come, my people, enter your rooms and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while until the wrath is past. For see, Adonai emerges from his place to punish those on earth for their sin, and then the earth will reveal the blood shed on it and no longer conceal its slain." And what I hear there is justice, but not just justice, peace and the reign of our God Adonai. So thank you. I feel that you have a destiny of being a hope to the hopeless, and I hope that you will not allow anyone to discourage you from doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys give me hope, and you guys give us all hope, and it's really, it's invaluable to see you guys coming here in this rain and listening to me and coming for the third time. I don't expect it, and what I feel now is amazing, because coming to Seattle and talking to some people here made me feel very frightened about what I have to deal with. But seeing you guys it's the most amazing thing you can do. But what else? You can go online to the StandWithUs.com or to our page. We have a page on Facebook, Stand With Us Northwest, and try to help there. We are asking for help in many different ways. Writing letters is important. Taking this message that I'm bringing here, that we want peace, and tell it to people and ask people to to learn more and to study more. You guys are going out here from this door today as an ambassadors and as an Israeli ambassadors of education, and you have the obligation to take it on, because we don't have, the Palestinians, they have media centers in the West Bank, and they are training a lot of young people like me to go out and not sharing the facts, but sharing lies. And they're doing a good job. You can see those cartoons that I just showed you, and they're doing a good job of making people hate Israel. And it's important that we are a minority. The people that support Israel, we are a minority. But as the Bible is telling us, every time we are a minority, but we're still winning, and we're still defeating this hate against us. So just keep on supporting and keep on telling this story, and go online and see how you can support us on the website of Stand With Us. We have a lot of information there, and if you want facts, you can get all the facts there online on all the numbers of what Israel is doing, and just pass it on and make sure that we are turning off this fire of hate against us.
One thing that I want to mention too is, as he said, how many of you know the media is biased? And they're biased against Israel. And as he said, they try to get the message out, but the papers don't want to carry it. But you know what? How about Facebook? How about Twitter? How about emails? We can get this message out. We have a link to Stand With Us Northwest on our website that you could go to, where they actually have the Hamas charter right there for people to access. They have all the different things that you can do to help. I would recommend, you can go through our website or write to Stand With Us Northwest, but read the material and send it on, pass it on, so everyone can hear the truth about how, Israel is trying to help. So I think that'd be really important. One other thing that we're doing is we're going to be hosting the TBN program on Friday, I think February 8th, and we're going to have Ken on that with us to help get that out in the media. Along with Christians United for Israel, their college coordinator is trying to get, Christians United for Israel on campus, so he'll be there too. And so we'll have some great discussions in promoting Israeli causes.
On the flip side, in Israel, how are the populace of Christians in Israel responding to the Jews and the travesties that are happening?
I think that they are very grateful for that they can have, as I said, a free access. We make sure that there would be access to all the holy places in Israel, to the churches, to the Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem. I've walked there; it's amazing. I'm recommending you all, if you haven't been. I saw that most of the people have been in Israel, but go again. And I think that the Christian population is really responding. They prefer to be they prefer to live in Israel rather than live under the Palestinian Authority. Even the Palestinian Christians, there are some that actually prefer to live in Israel than to live under the Palestinian Authority responsibility. So I think, they are supportive.
My question is, if we're not able to get a hold of you to go out to our schools, if we have school-age children, high school-age children, is there any material that's available for them? My daughter was brought up in the church, and so was my son, and they'd be more than welcome to step up and take that to their schools, even if you weren't able to be there.
So first, we'll exchange contact details later, and on the website you can find all the information. But if they would like to do that, on our website, on the Stand With Us website, there's fact sheets. Again, this organization, Stand With Us, is an amazing organization. They're doing an amazing job, because we are back home in Israel. We are too busy on protecting ourselves, and we're too busy to help in the other side as well. But we're not doing much to advocate this message. So I'm very grateful for Stand With Us, that there's this kind of organization that is helping Israel. You guys are great, and I'm lucky and privileged to be here. But there's just me and another guy in California, and unfortunately, this is the only people that are talking on behalf of Israel as a shlichim. And when you're looking on the Palestinian side, you see this guy, Iyad, that I told you about, the brother of the director of this movie. He's going around and he have tours all over the U.S. and they have people that are speaking in colleges and arranging this group of hate. And this is what we have. So we have Stand With Us. And if your kids would like to learn more about Israel, on their website they have a lot of facts. And I do encourage them to go onto Israeli website as well. It's really hard to find them. It's much easier to find, the biased opinion about Israel and all the lies and hate. But Stand With Us is doing a great job. So StandWithUs.com, they have a full section in their website that give you presentations and giving you Israel 101 and facts about the West Bank and facts about anything that you want to learn more about in an unbiased opinion, an unbiased way, which is very rare these days.
Let's hear for Stand With Us.
Yeah.
Yes. 5 years ago, or even a year ago, could you imagine even being here tonight? And I also want to just say to you, I believe that Hashem is going to open doors for you in the near future.
Amen.
That are amazing. So be open to the move of God in your life. Mm-hmm. But the specific question I have for you, is there a young lady back in Israel that your heart has left behind?
Not yet, but I'm looking forward to go back and find the right one. I'm blushing, I'm sorry.
Is that why you came here? No.
No, the right one waits in Israel.
I'm kidding. All right, yes.
We hear that the American government does help the military in Israel to deal with some of the equipment needed to defend itself. Mm-hmm. How do you see the Israeli people, how is their feeling about the American government helping them? Do they really feel like we're giving every bit of support, or do they feel less, as far as, helping with technology to deal with stopping as much of the bombing as possible, maybe defending against it? We'd like to know your impression of how the Israeli people feel about that.
It's a good question. It's the development of the Iron Dome. This is a new device that Israel has developed that shoots down rockets that are coming from Gaza. Unfortunately, just not all the rockets can be shot down, but it's really helpful, and it's shot down most of the rockets that were shot in the last few months. We didn't purchase this from any other country, because there's no other country that need to live in the threats of daily rockets. So we had to develop it in Israel. But we do get a lot of support from the American government, and it's invaluable for us. We just hope that it will keep on going and that we won't get a different approach from the American administration. And we hope that we'll still get this support that we are still getting, but it's important to maintain it, and yes, so we are grateful for this support.
When I think of his experience just being in Seattle a week or two, and here he's, basically just under attack, I'm so glad that he can come here as he's beginning his 6-month journey, and he can feel, get an idea of what it's really like here. And how many of you guys support Chen?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We just really appreciate you. We really do. Do you have any closing comments that you'd like to make here before we go?
Yeah,
oh, you got a mic.
I have a mic. You just have no idea how it warmed my heart to see you guys here. we are in a war, and our existence is always is in jeopardy. We have support, and we have our Lord with us and supporting us, and we have people like you that get this power to support us and to get people to the light. And I hope that we can expose as much people to the light as we can. And it's amazing to see you here. I really want you to take everything you got here tonight and take it home with you, and take it to your family, and take it to your community, and to share this story. Each and every one of you is important, just like me. You can tell the same story, and you can share more information, and we will win this war eventually, because we're always winning, right? We are, and we are strong. So thank you, and keep on being strong as you are. And again, thank you. Toda rabba. Toda.
Toda rabba. Very good. Thank you. Let's give him another big hand for everything that he's doing here.
Thanks, Pastor.
We're just so excited to have you here. Blessings to you. Let's just extend our hands toward them and ask that Hashem would just really bless his work that he's doing. Amen? Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, we just thank you so much for Ken and for what he's doing. And we just pray that through your Ruach HaKodesh, that he would have an impact on people's lives, that doors would be opened that need to be opened, that he would reach the people that he needs to reach with this message of how much you love Israel, you love the Jewish people, and you are for them, and you've given this land to them. And we just pray right now, Lord, that this message would go out and that it would touch people's hearts, that those that are waffling between whether to support Israel or not, that they would make the right decision, that they would see the bias that is out there in the media. We just pray that you would be with his tongue, even he speaks. Father, that your message would get across through him, that you would use him mightily while he's here over these 6 months. And we just thank you so much.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good night.